Hello friends! Welcome back to my channel. A special welcome if you are new. This is Homeschool at Heart. My name is Leah Simpson and today we're going to be talking about my cerebral angiogram that I had for my IIH. Alright guys, if you are new, this is going to be a really weird video for you to be watching, because it's not about homeschool. This is a homeschool channel. Usually all of my videos are about homeschool, but I just recently was diagnosed with a rare brain condition called idiopathic intracranial hypertension. It is a condition where my brain thinks that it has a tumor in it, but it does not. I have increased intracranial hypertension, which means that I have too much cerebral spinal fluid, and my doctor is working with me to figure out how to get it to drain out of my head. So that's what this surgery was all about. It was a diagnostic surgery to figure out if I need a stent or a shunt. So this was the first of 2 brain surgeries, at least, that I will be having this year, Lord willing. So I'm gonna be talking about how it went. So the first thing that you need to know is that I did qualify numbers wise, pressure wise, for the stent. However, things didn't go the way that I thought they would go, in that my surgeon at our pre-op appointment had said that we would just be scheduling whichever surgery right from the recovery room for whatever we were going to be doing next. And he did not want to do that after this surgery. And he did not really say a lot of why. So I have to wait until my next appointment with him, which is a month from now, to hear about that. He wanted to show us the imaging and talk through, quote unquote, some options about what we would do next. So I do, numbers wise, qualify for a stent, but I guess there is still some reasonable doubt as to whether I will be getting a stent. I could still be getting the shunt, so I don't know. I trust him. I really love my surgeon, so I will do whatever it is that he recommends. So I have done a lot of research on both, and at this point I am willing to do whichever one he recommends to get rid of the headaches and the tinnitus and all of the other lovely symptoms that I am going through right now. So if you are a friend or family member who is wanting to know what the outcome of the surgery was, and you don't want to hear any of the actual surgery details, you can stop the video here, because I will be talking about the actual surgery in depth after this. If you are somebody who is looking into having this surgery or wanting to know what the surgery is going to be like, probably your surgery will not be like mine. It will probably go smoother than mine. Not that it, I mean, honestly, it didn't go super, there wasn't anything that didn't go smoothly about the surgery. It was just the way my body responded to the like light anesthesia that they sort of give you, or the drugs that they give you to put you in a little bit of a doped up state for it. So just be aware of what you're going to hear, and don't let that terrify you because if I started to make this video and then I stopped the video and then I came back and restarted it because I was really worried that I was going to scare a bunch of people. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be informative, but I want you, so I'm going to be as detailed as I can be about what happened. I was probably not given enough medicine, is the short version. So when you go, make sure that you say, I don't want to remember any of this. I want to make sure that I don't feel the things. So, because I could feel all of the things. And I remember all of the things. And when I got into recovery and the nurse was asking me questions about the surgery, because that's what they do, she was kind of horrified that I remembered every tiny detail of the surgery. So, and I still do. And it's a week out. And you shouldn't remember it all in this much detail. So I'm going to tell you guys what happened during my surgery. It went smoothly. Everything happened the way it was supposed to. Nothing happened badly. Nothing happened that is that scary or anything like that. But it's gonna sound a little bit scary because you're awake during the surgery. So just letting you know, that is the true story of my awake surgery for my cerebral angiogram. So I go into the room and they hook me up to all of the things. I get my IV started. They hook me up to my blood pressure cuff. They're like, you know, putting the drapes and everything on, making sure that I'm shaved properly because, excuse me, they are going to go through my groin for this surgery. Sometimes they can go through your wrists, sometimes they can go through your neck. They went through my groin area for my surgery, and I took care of all of the shaving part of it myself. Some surgeons do not want you to do that. Mine did not mind that I did it myself. So, but there's, some people don't want that because there's a risk of infection if you like nick yourself or, you know, whatever. So it probably wasn't a great idea that I did that myself, but I'm a little, I just was a little like, about that. So anyway, so they put the drape on, they put the little like sheet thing on that has like the little hole for, you know, sticky thing. So they're only really gonna see like this much of you. And I had that on both sides because they went through both. They did both legs. So for my particular needs. And they did strap down my head, and then they put like a heavy blanket, it was warm, over my chest and the top parts of my arms. So my arms were out straight so that my blood pressure cuff would get good reading, my IV wouldn't get kinked in there, so everything could like go through the way that it needed to and read all the things it needed to. And what else did they do beforehand? Oh, she asked me if I was warm enough, and I was mostly fine, but I said that my toes were cold and my fingers were cold. And so the anesthesiologist was like able to put a some kind of, it felt like a space heater. It was like some kind of blower or something underneath the blanket. And I warmed right up. I was completely comfortable for the entire surgery that way. I wasn't cold. Some people, when I watched their videos, they were like, I was freezing the entire time. So that was cool. I could see out of the corner of my eye. They had like a giant TV screen in there. I could see the monitor, kind of. Not like, it wasn't like I was watching it myself, but I could like glance over there and see it. And then they started the surgery. One thing that I did not love about it, oh, actually my surgeon did not actually do the surgery. I didn't love that. That was a thing that I didn't love. His resident did the surgery. And that was the next thing I didn't love. But my surgeon, I do love him. He came out and he like put his hand on my shoulder. He's like, I'm gonna be right here. Everything's gonna be great. We are gonna get you taken care of. If I need to come out, there should be no reason that I should need to. My resident has done this a whole bunch of times already. Like, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be watching the monitor so I can like see all of the footage from the cameras and all of the things and like figure out what you need. So, and he was like, I can talk to you if if I get scared or whatever. So I couldn't see him, but he was there. So it was a resident, and I assume an intern, doing the surgery. The resident, he was fine. He did his job. He had very poor bedside manner. So he did not speak directly to me for most of the surgery, which I thought was not great. It was not a great experience for that reason. So he did the local anesthetic for both of my legs to get them numb for, the little tiny, it's a little tiny cut. It's not a big deal. It's about, like the width of my like pinky finger nail here. It's little, it's tiny. Like, he described it like a paper cut when I was like still waiting to come in for surgery, like when I was like signing all my consent forms and all that. And it's really small. So then they do the little incision, they insert the catheter. So on one side they went up through an artery, and on the other side they went up through a vein. I thought when I was talking to my surgeon that they were doing arteries on both sides. I don't mind that they went up through a vein on one side and through the artery on the other side, because for my recovery, the artery side was definitely the one that took longer to recover from. The vein one was like one day, and I was totally like ready to go play tennis or something. But anyway, so they did the whole thing. I could see them like pushing the line through. And then once they got like up to my chest, I could feel it. Like, I could feel it going. I could feel it going up into me. That's when it started getting a little bit weird. So I didn't so much mind the little like pinch and burn of the needle. They're like, this is the worst part, and I'm like, okay. It wasn't, in my opinion, the worst part. So what came next was the part that I thought was, I mean, guys, it was fine. But as an awake patient who's aware of what they're doing to your brain, it was stressful. So they're pushing this thing, and I know that they're going up into my brain. I can feel it go up. I could feel it go up in through my neck. I could feel it go back through my, behind my face. So then they're like, okay, hold your breath, take a breath in, let it out, hold your breath. Don't move. So then, I let my breath out, I'm closing my eyes. They inject the dye, and I can hear it. I could hear this crackling sound. It was unreal. I could hear this crackling sound, and then I felt hot. And I knew that the dye was because I've had contrast before. I knew that the dye makes you feel warm, but I felt like my face was on fire. I was so hot. And then I could see, with my eyes closed, I could see it looked like lightning. But like, as I was talking about it after the surgery, I was like, those were the veins in my eyes, I bet. But it was so crazy, you guys. And they had to do that, like, I don't know. I can't even count how many times. I could not tell you how many times they had to do that. They were taking imaging of the inside of my head. So, and they had to do it on both sides. But then when they went up, so that was the side that that was my left side. So that was the side that has the aneurysm. So they were taking all the pictures of the aneurysm, and then, I don't know, they called it making a roadmap. It's for the surgery that's going to be next. So then they go up the right side. That's the side that have the narrowing of the veins in the back of my head. And that's the side that they're potentially putting the stent in. I kid you not. So again, I could feel it. I could feel it in my chest. I could feel it going up. I could feel it in my neck, but like more pronounced feeling it. Guys, I could feel it was like weird. It was like I feel like it's gonna puncture through. I kid you not. I felt like it was going to pop through. Probably because veins are tiny, but I don't know. And I could see him like doing this, you know, he's like pushing the thing through. So I could feel it. And then when it went back behind my teeth, I was like, I had to like grit my teeth because I felt like all of the teeth in my mouth were going to shatter. And you know, like I'm sure that they had given me a whole bunch of medicine. I'm sure that my heart rate was like going crazy. I was gritting my teeth like crazy, and I could not open my mouth to be like, hey, this hurts. Because my brain was like, if you open your mouth, all your teeth are gonna fall out. So, and then it's like behind my eye, I could feel everything, guys. I could feel it all. And it was so gross. It just did not. I hope I never have to do it again, you guys. And then, like, again, every single time they injected the dye, I could hear it crackling. And then I felt like super hot. My face, my head, everything was hot. It did not hurt, except that then when I would get that whole like lightning thing, it was like I don't know, it did kind of hurt a little bit. I don't know how to describe it. It was like it kind of was like a shock. I don't know. Anyway, I got through it, and it's fine. So like if you have to have the surgery, like I'm trying to be honest about it. Maybe I'll erase this and try to make it again. I don't know. I feel like I want to be honest, but I don't want to be scary. I don't know. Okay, so then they pulled the catheter out, right? So that, not a big deal. They pulled the catheter out. They put, you know, pressure on my vein side, get it to stop bleeding. They put, you know, their gauze and bandage or whatever on it. It's fine. The other side, the artery side, they pull the thing out, they pull the thing out, they pull the thing out. It's like so long, you guys, so long. And then they put pressure on it. And then also they have to put this plug in there. I was in no way prepared for the plug, okay? No way was I prepared for it. He said, I'm gonna put a plug in your artery. And then he basically like jumps on top of me and like shoves this thing into my leg. It was super painful, guys. I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared. They did not say, this is gonna hurt because the other side was like not a big deal. I just like, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what they were thinking. Anyway, it's a silicone thing. They put it in, there's like a tab thing, and then there's like I don't know, it's a plug. It's to make sure you don't bleed out. It's an ingenious little thing. It goes in there and then it dissolves over a month or so. And it's tiny. I don't know who came up with this or how they make it work, but it's really cool. However, I was just like not really sure. They didn't I don't feel like they explained that to me beforehand. So it was stressful. And then I think that my anxiety started freaking out. I have really bad anxiety that I am actually being treated for, that I was being treated for before the IIH. So I think I started having a panic attack from that. So the anesthesiologist comes out and is like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, I'm actually like, I feel like I'm hyperventilating and I'm super hot right now and I'm like super nauseated. So she pulls the air thing out from under the blankets like real quick. She's like, "Okay, I'll get you something for your stomach." And I was like, cool, because my leg, that hurt so bad. And now my stomach, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I was like, oh, I'm so stressed right now. So she got me fixed up really quickly. They like got all of the things like that. She gave me Zofran and like, you know, like immediately you feel better after that. Like when they put Zofran in your IV, you're like, oh, thank goodness. I feel so much better now. So then, you know, they like unplug all the things and get you kind of moved over to the gurney. You have to be really careful with this though. When they go up through your artery, you have to keep your legs straight for 2 full hours after the surgery is over. So they had to move me. So when I came in for the surgery, I was able to move from the gurney to the surgery table myself. When you leave, they have to move you. You cannot move at all. They're like, don't move at all. Do not move. You cannot move at all. So they like pull the sheet up and then they stick the board under and then they put you onto the board and then they move you over to the gurney and then they, you know, like they slide you over. Anyway, it's a whole thing. They make sure you're all covered up so that you're not like being pushed down the hallway, exposed or anything like that. I really liked the gal who was the anesthesiologist. She took me to and from the recovery room. I really loved my nurse that took care of me before and after the surgery. They gave me food and water after the surgery because it had been many, many hours since I'd had any sustenance or anything to drink, and I was so thirsty and so hungry. And then, like I said, they were asking me all the questions, and she was like, they should have given you more medicine. How is this right? Anyway, so, and then I kept being like, ugh, my leg hurts, my leg hurts, my leg hurts. And I think that had less to do with the actual surgery than the fact that I had been like laying down in like the exact same position for like 4.5 hours. Because, you know, you're like laying down kind of, you're like in the bed for a long time before the surgery, but then, so you have to lay down flat for the actual surgery, and then you have to lay down flat for 2 more hours after the surgery. And I have a like bad back, so my back and my legs and all of my joints were really unhappy with the situation of laying down for that much time. they were all like, you gotta get moving. You need a new position. You need to do something. So I think that that was really the only reason, but they gave me IV Tylenol, and then because I was like still at like a 3 or 4 pain level, like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, they gave me, it wasn't Norco, but it was like, they said it was whatever it was a Norco-ish type drug. So I'm on Topamax, and it makes me like forget words, and so I'm not going to try to reach for it right now. So it was a Norco type. It was a version of Norco, but it wasn't the full version of Norco. It was like part of Norco. So that's what they gave me, and it did end up helping. But they didn't send me home with it. They only gave it to me in the hospital. And then when I came home, all I needed was, I alternated Tylenol and ibuprofen for, I think, only a couple of days, and then I really was fine after that. So when I got home, the wound care situation was really simple. You don't wash it for the first 24 hours. You leave all of everything alone. You just leave it alone. You don't get it wet. You don't, nothing. And then after that, you can take a shower. You cannot submerge yourself, so no baths, no swimming, nothing like that. And then you can take a shower, you take the bandages off and wash everything with soap and warm water, and then you reapply your hospital issued bandages. It's really simple to apply and all that stuff. You just have to like pat dry the area and make sure everything is clean and dry. Before you put the bandages on, you just want to make sure that nothing is bleeding. They'll give you all of the wound care advice. If anything starts bleeding, if you are bleeding from an artery, more than like a little bit of oozing, I did have a little bit of oozing from my artery side. It was, I think, because the wound just like attached to, like a scab attached to the gauze, and it tore off. And that was it. It like bled a little bit, but not anything substantial. But if you're bleeding in a substantial way that pressure can't, after 20 minutes, get it to stop, you go to the emergency room right away. So that is what they told me. That is my advice to you. I cannot actually give medical advice because I'm not a medical professional, but that's what I know about all of that. I am a week post-op, and really after about day 4, I felt pretty good. I had like a muscle issue after about that time, but I think it was just from babying that side of my body maybe. So I regularly see a chiropractor, and I couldn't see the chiropractor that week for obvious reasons. I couldn't have like him pushing on me. So even though that my chiropractor is pretty gentle with all of that, I just didn't want to risk breaking open my artery. So I haven't seen my chiropractor for a little bit, and my back and my joints are all like really willing me to go, but I'm gonna wait until after my 2-week mark like a good patient, and we'll see where we're at after that. My little incisions, you can barely see them anymore. It's actually been about 10 days, but I'm not lifting anything, but I'm carrying on with my life mostly as usual, other than not lifting anything and trying to take it easy for a little bit. Like the worst of the symptoms of recovery were that I was maybe a little bit sore, but I mostly was just getting tired easily. So that was really what I could expect from that. I had probably for the first 2 days a pretty substantial headache, but I have IIH, which I have a pretty bad headache most days anyway, so that wasn't really anything new. And then I had pain from my incision sites. I kind of expected that. It wasn't that big of a deal though. So the after stuff really was not a big deal. I do not really want to repeat this experience. However, having had the experience, I do know that next time, if I have to do it again, it will be a lot better because I will know to say, this is how it was last time. I need more drugs. So it won't be as bad for me the next time, I think. If I have to have more stents placed or if they need to see more internal imaging of my brain. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't need that. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. Please let me know in the comments, you guys. Hopefully it also didn't scare anybody too badly about having this procedure done. It is literally 90 minutes of your life. You can do it. I promise you, you can get through this. It's just, it just is what it is, and it's like a thing that we gotta do, right? So you got this. You can do it. I have faith in you. I believe in you. Go get them. I'm sorry if you have to have it done though. It sucks. It really does suck. There's nothing else I can say. So, but if you have to have this procedure and you're scared, you can leave me a comment. I will definitely pray for you. Because it is a rough one. Being awake for a surgery is not a fun thing. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. All right, you guys, this is the part of the video, the fun part of the video, where I share something from my personal life, which I just finished sharing lots from my personal life, maybe a little bit too personal for some of you, but you know, or a funny story. And I think this story is fairly funny. Maybe some of you will not think it's funny, but I, you know, not in the moment now, think it's a little bit funny. So one of the things that I have been doing with my kids as I've gotten towards this end of my recovery has been baking with them. We have discovered that we really like baking pumpkin cream cheese muffins, and it is fairly easy, but my two youngest kids are 9 and 11, and they really wanted to do this yesterday, and I was like, I don't really feel like it, but I helped them divide up like the tasks and everything. And my youngest child likely has ADHD. She has not been diagnosed yet, and anyway, it doesn't really matter, but she gets distracted really easily. But she ended up with the egg job, and I always have her specifically crack the eggs into a separate bowl and then dump the egg into the batter bowl, because she inevitably gets like eggshell or whatever into the egg when she cracks it. She didn't this time. It was perfect the way that it was. She didn't have to dig out any eggshells, but it's always easier if you crack it into another bowl and you can dig the eggshells out with like another piece of the shell or whatever, and not have to worry about like, oh, I'm getting out like extra ingredients that I didn't want to. Neither here nor there. Anyway, we get all the way. I'm like scooping the batter into the muffin tins, into the little cupcake liners or whatever. And then I don't know why, but Ellie like goes around to the other side. She goes, oh, that's what happened to the egg. And I look over and I was like, what are you talking about? And she turns to me and she says, here's the egg. I was finishing the last muffin, you guys. I was putting the last little bit of batter into the last muffin cup. And there was the egg. She had just gotten the egg cracked into the bowl, which was her job, and then she'd gotten distracted. Gotten distracted by, I don't know what, something. And the egg was not, I had just had surgery, So my kitchen was not as like neat and orderly as it typically has been. I've had like people coming and bringing food, and you know, the kids and my husband have been helping with things, and so things are not like where they usually are, and so she had to crack the egg in a different place than I normally would have had her do it, so I didn't see the bowl of egg. So normally I would have been able to catch that she had walked off and not dumped the egg into the bowl. Anyway, I didn't catch it in time to salvage that. However, I was like, oh no, what are we gonna do? So we did recover it. We just lost all of those cupcake papers. Ellie and I just scooped all of the batter back into the bowl. We mixed the egg in, and then we redistributed it. We probably, I think we had one muffin less than we normally would have, because we didn't get, you know, every tiny bit of batter out of the muffin papers, because it was like disintegrating the paper and we don't want to eat the paper. So anyway, we ended up with 15 muffins instead of 16, and then anyway, it worked out. It worked out fine. The ratio of cream cheese to muffin was a little high, but you know, who doesn't love the cream cheese part? It all worked out. The muffins tasted just fine. But man, I was like telling some mom friends about that though this weekend. They're like, I do that. I think I have ADHD. So anyway, I think we can forgive poor Charlotte, for the 9-year-old, for forgetting to put the egg in the bowl. It happens, right? So anyway, that's my story for you this week. I hope that you guys are having a great week, and I will talk to you in the next one.